Welcome back to another episode of Balancing Healthy. Today we are diving straight into it. We are talking about the menstrual cycle purely because I've had a couple of questions from clients and I realize I've not really touched on it on the podcast, I'm pretty sure, unless I did it on a very first episode, which doesn't really feel like me. So I want to talk about it. So if you're a male, feel free to skip, or you can stay and you might learn something new for your partner and maybe it'll be beneficial, maybe not. I don't know. But today I want to keep it really, really simple because I want to preface that I am not an expert in this field in terms of I don't do coaching for menstrual cycle. That's not the vibe. I'm not a doctor. I don't do these things. But I want to talk to it in a term of health, fitness, training, things you can do to kind of adapt and change to help you perform at your peak and not let your cycle completely tear you down. So another thing as well, this is going to be very general advice. This is very much going to be the typical 28-day cycle, regular girlies. There'll be some talk about irregular things in there, but regular girlies, if you've got PCOS or endo, take things with a grain of salt, and this might help you as well. But it's really trial and error and see what kind of works for you. So I'm going to give you the typical, like I said, but yeah, take what works for you. I was going to say, yes, that's right. I do have a few friends as well that do this for a living, that talk to all things a cycle. They're really, really quite intelligent. I'd rather have them speak to anything more in depth if you do have questions. So please absolutely let me know, either comment below or send me a DM and let me know if you would like me to get them on as a guest, anything you want to know, people that are really intelligent in this field. But I already do have an episode with one of my friends. She is going to talk to her experience. She completely lost her period. And just her experience with gaining it back and getting a regular cycle and things like that. I don't know if it's out before or after this episode. So either you've already listened to it or it's coming up next. So it's with Casey. So you'll see when it's out. But the last thing I want to talk to just before I get into the different phases and all the things is I just really I really encourage you to track your cycle. And even if you're oh, I don't have a regular cycle, there's no point, I really, really, really encourage you to track it. Track your symptoms as well, because you might start to notice things. So I had an in-person PT client, bless her, she's so cute. And she was getting a period every 2 months, if that. She didn't have any, she didn't have the rod or IUD or anything like that. She just was only getting it every 2 months, maybe 3 sometimes. But I started to notice every kind of 4 weeks, I was she had this drop. Energy wasn't there. She was just feeling a bit some kind of way, if you're a woman, you know. And I actually said to her, I was can you start to track your cycle, track your symptoms, whatever? And whenever she felt this way, I was when did you last have a period? And she'd be oh, I think it was about 4 weeks ago. And I'm are you bleeding now? And she's no, I'm not. But then in the next 4 weeks, she would bleed again. So it was she was still having a cycle. It just wasn't always having a bleed. So I think that's something that's really important as well. I've had quite a few online clients as well that similar experiences, and now they're so regular. I really do think your menstrual cycle is your fifth, your sixth vital sign. I think it is so important. I think it tells you a lot about your health overall. So yeah, like I said, there are obviously nuances endo, PCOS, all the things. So take this with a grain of salt, but it is really, really important and a really good overall marker of your health as well. So again, clients that have gone from not having periods to being so completely regular. They've gone from really bad period pain to, oh my God, I don't feel that anymore. My periods are good. So really, really, really exciting when they tell me that. Because like I said, that's not my main focus in my coaching, but it's just such a good byproduct of looking after yourself, treating yourself well, all the kind of things. But today, like I said, we're going specifically in 2 different phases and kind of how you can expect to eat, train, feel, all the kind of things. So let's go. Oh yeah, so I'm going to go off a typical 28-day cycle. And another thing as well, just to preface, is a regular typical cycle can be anything from, I think they say 26 days to 33. It's something like that. If that's your regular, that is so normal and you're not broken. It's actually okay. My regular is 27. I'm a 27-day girly through and through. As soon as I hit that next day, boom, I'm bleeding again. So 27 days through and through, my body is literally like clockwork. And again, this came from, looking after myself and putting energy into my body and just like tracking. I actually like went hardcore with tracking. I just do it now on my Fitbit app. So easy. But when I came off the pill, I went hardcore with tracking. Like I wrote a journal. I've got a period journal, and I would answer the same kind of questions every single month. Like there was, I reckon like 15 things symptoms wise that I listed that I had to note about. And then I had like an extra notes section and I would write in that as well. And this really helped me with like just making sure I was, you know, bleeding every month, making sure, you know, every X amount of days, whether it was longer, whether it was shorter, what could have led to that. Like so many things I would write in that journal. And now my body's like clockwork. I know when I'm ovulating, when I'm about to bleed, I know every single thing. When my brain gets a bit like brain foggy, I know that's my PMS. So I know a lot of things. So it's really important to track your cycle with that. There was something else I was going to say in what I just said. Oh, yeah. Just to FYI, if you don't know, where did I write it down, the exact amount of days? Yeah. So the egg takes 3 months to mature. So when you are bleeding, I'm sure you know what happens when you're bleeding. That is an egg from 3 months ago. So if you are suffering now, I always say, look at what was happening 3 months ago. My recent period that I had a couple of weeks ago was really quite intense, the period pain. I still had to get up and do my day because you have to. But it was really, really intense. And I was like, yep, that makes sense. 3 months ago, I was like cooked, stressed, all the things. So like, it does make sense. But anyway, getting into the episode. So like I said, I'm just going to talk to the different phases. I don't think this will take long. I don't want it to take long at all. But I just want you to have something so simple. So first phase, days like 1 to 13-ish, is your follicular phase. So day 1 starts at your bleed. So you might have like 5 to 7 days of bleeding, depending. You might have less. That could be amazing. I think I'm typically a 4-day bleed, 4 to 5. But the first like half, essentially, 1 to 13, is follicular phase. So this is where typically you're feeling amazing. You're training, you know, strength training. You can really push for your PBs. You can do some more, you know, cardio. Like you might feel really good with your running. You know, if you like HIIT training, like this is a really good time to do this, to really push for that, because you're feeling amazing. It's to do with the rise and what's the opposite of rise? Rise and lower. The increase and decrease of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. That's why these changes happen, but like without the science of it, typically this first half, you're feeling amazing, you're incredible, you're like, I'm on top of the world, life could not be better. If you are, you know, needing to do creative things as well, this is a really good time for it as well. So for me, like recording a podcast, ideal. Trying to do content, ideal. Like think of it of like summer. I do have a friend that she puts it in like seasons. Like you've come out of your winter and you're heading into summer. Like that's the kind of vibe of like, we feel amazing, the sun's shining, incredible, good times. So like I said, training, feel incredible, push for BBs, push for that strength. If you like HIIT, you can add HIIT. Like cardio should be good. You typically will be pulling up, feeling pretty good. Like muscles might not be too sore. Like your recovery is pretty good. Like that kind of vibe. Eating as well. I'm going to say more protein, but you should be fucking having your protein always, but especially around that period of time, you're obviously losing blood. We need some more iron. So really making sure your protein and your iron is on point. So red meat, but also having more carbs too. Like literally fucking send it. Like your pre-workout meal, like really nice and carby. You know, even though you're having a lot of carbs, you probably feel really good. This will make sense when I get into it later on, but feeling really good, energy's really good. You should typically, and I say typically, feel on top of the world. The first few days while you're bleeding, you might feel a bit shit, but once you come out of that, you might be feeling on top of the world. Then, I forgot to say, weight typically increases around your bleed, but then it will decrease at this point. So around day 14 ovulation, not everyone ovulates on day 14. Like I said, this is just a typical, you know, scientific. If you have a 28-day bleed, you'll ovulate on day 14. So this is different for everyone. Like I said, the actual day can be different as well. I'm pretty sure it can be like a 3-day process as well. So like being very careful, obviously, you know, if you're sexually active, all the things over around like 3 days around it. But typically, again, on top of the world, feeling amazing, you know, life's good, feeling incredible. However, there are nuances to this where some people feel shit. I know I've had times, I think I fluctuate like so randomly. But there've been times where I'm like, I feel incredible. I'm definitely ovulating. I feel amazing. And then times where I'm like, I don't feel so good this time. And like, I do feel a bit gross and a bit heavy and a bit sluggish, and I might see a weight increase. So typically ovulation is when your weight will like decrease the most. So you might have a really nice drop. If you're in a deficit, you'll be like, cool, I had a slay week, like weight is down, feeling good. And a lot of time that can be from ovulation. But you might have that odd time where it increases. So completely how your body goes, but that's your typical feeling amazing. Then we go into the second half, which is days 15 to 28. Again, probably like 15 to 21, 22, you might feel pretty good still. You might start to feel towards the end of that a little bit like energy's starting to drop a little bit because we're really entering that luteal phase. So really entering around that PMS kind of week. And again, not to put it in your head that, you know, you are going to have certain symptoms, but I think like if you have symptoms, this is where it will pop up. So just putting a bit of a preface on that. This is where like I'm so big on strength training, so I think you should always be strength training no matter what part of your cycle. It is so important to strength train. However, looking at, you know, potentially you might be feeling a little more sore. You might not be recovering as well. Again, this is to do with the hormones increasing, decreasing, all the things. So you might be feeling more sore. So you might want to implement a deload. I don't know if I've spoken about deloads on the podcast. I think I've spoken about it a little bit, but not like a whole episode dedicated to it. If you want one, let me know and I'll do that. But yeah, you might need to put a deload, which is basically your normal training, but then you're just decreasing the weights a little bit so you can pull up a little bit better. You're still moving, feeling good. You might find you want to do some more stretching or yoga or Pilates, something a little bit more, not chill because it's still working, but a bit more stretchy, less weight, more body weight, flow kind of vibes. And you might even find as well your back, if you get low back pain, you might find as well that that's where it really starts to kind of like pick up a little bit because, again, the hormones doing their thing, increasing, decreasing. The hormones, they do something around our hips. I don't have the full science behind it, but it's something to do with storing it around our hips. So you'll find your hips might be really tight. I always recommend around your bleed, if you've got lower back pain, really stretching out your hips. That's my first and foremost thing. Obviously stretching out your lower back, and then also looking into your hamstrings as well. Maybe they're a bit tight, need a little bit of a stretch. I can nearly guarantee you if you stretch out these areas, that lower back pain can really, really minimize. It might not disappear, but it can minimize a lot. Again, because it's just all the hormone changes happening. Your body's just feeling tighter. It's just the joints aren't as like moving as well. The muscles are a bit tighter. So just really like looking at strengthening and lengthening those areas. Really, really important. And then when it comes to your food as well, I say you should be eating, you should be eating more fats, less carbs. And I'm not saying that I do this every time because, again, it's so dependent. If you don't want to get fully into the science and the details and everything, you don't have to do that. But if you're someone that you're like, I really need to do something to support me, I would look at increasing your fats and lowering your carbs because carbs hold water. So when you feel really puffy, bloated, yuck, the carbs are what is holding that water. Whilst I'm on the topic of water as well though, even if you are feeling gross, please keep drinking your water because it's going to help with that digestion. So your bowels and your uterus like sit like right on top of each other pretty much. And a lot of the time, personally for me, I'll give you the TMI. I don't really go to the bathroom too well for number twos in the couple of days leading up to my period. So I feel really gross, but we need to keep drinking the water because on day one, it all comes out. Like, I don't know what happened. It's like 3 days worth out on day one. And if I didn't eat my fruits, my veggies, my fiber, have my water, I would not have that. And that's where sometimes pain can occur. Sometimes we can have some cramps or just really sore like uterus. And it can be because we're blocked up in the bowels and it's all just kind of pushing on each other. That's why you feel bloated around there. There's just a lot that's held inside and we just need to get it out. So it could be as simple as that. Just something if you've not really thought about it. So yeah, carbs help water retention, which is what's going to make you feel a bit more bloated, which is why I say if you want to, reduce the carbs a little bit. Not completely, because I find as well if you're someone that suffers with cravings, cutting carbs is just going to make that worse. Like, still have your carbs, still honor your body and what it needs, but just be really more mindful of it. And then eating more fats in terms of like eating more healthy fats, because different fats, like our vitamins and minerals, there are some that are water soluble and some that are fat soluble, which pretty much means they don't digest in our body as well unless we have healthy fats. And healthy fats are things like salmon, eggs, nuts, avo, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, nut butters, like cheeses, like things like that. they are really also really helpful for our hormone production. That's what keeps us going. It's what keeps everything happening nice and smoothly. So that is why I always say fats are really good around period time as well, because that's when, like I said, a lot of things are happening with our hormones. It's also really good if you struggle with hunger. Like if you're someone that you're like, I'm literally starving all the time, like I get so hungry around my period, fats are going to be your best friend as well. Because again, a lot of people will talk to protein, it's going to keep you fuller for longer, but fats will also do the thing because they're literally double the amount of calories per gram. So like gram? Yeah, 1 gram of protein is like 4 calories, 1 gram of fats is 9. Like you're getting more bang for your buck when you're eating the fats and eating more fats as opposed to, you know, just having proteins and carbs. Have a go. Let me know if you've noticed it. Like if you are someone that, like me personally, if I'm at home and I can cook my breakfast, I will always have like eggs and goat's cheese or eggs and avo or eggs and some kind of fat sauce on a bagel because yes, it's giving me protein, but it's giving me a lot of fats and that keeps me full for like, I want to say 4 hours, which is great. Not also too great because we do want to eat regularly, but I'm like, it keeps me full. I can eat at 9 o'clock. I don't really have to eat lunch till 1 or 2 o'clock. Like it is unreal how much that keeps me full. Whereas if I have a bowl of oats, like I'm hungry by like 10 or 11 o'clock. Like it's actually stupid. But fats also keep you fuller for longer. So don't demonize fats and don't just think about protein. Yes, protein is important. We need it and we need the iron and everything. But fats are also going to be what's going to be that thing that keeps you fuller for longer as well. And like I said, really helpful for hormone production, really helpful to keep things on track, keep things good. Give it a go. Take what's going to work for you. Leave what's not going to work for you. Like it's all about trial and error. And like I said, there are times where like the typical thing of like when I'm bleeding, I, you know, feel shit. I don't want to go to the gym, low energy. But there's also been times when I'm like PBing. Like listen to your body. Like people always say, listen to your body, rest when you need to. But no one really says listen to your body and push when you need to because you might have that typical I should feel like shit and you might feel incredible. You might be like, I'm actually on top of the world even though I'm like day 2 of my cycle. Go for gold, do what you need to do. I've gone for runs when I've been bleeding because I'm like, I feel so good and I feel like mobile, like my hips feel good, like everything feels really good. I've gone for runs. But then like I said, there's also been times when I'm ovulating, I'm meant to feel on top of the world and I actually just feel like shit. And I'm like, this doesn't feel good and I need to just adapt or change or whatever the thing is. So like I said, take what works with you. I am going to wrap up this episode because I can hear the girls outside and I'm like, I need to pack up soon. But yes, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. Like I said, I'm not going to go into like PCOS, endometriosis. There's so much to dive into with that. I'm very lucky I don't have either of those, so incredible. But my PCOS girlies, I know it is to do with insulin as well. So carbs, typically what I hear for PCOS is a little less carbs, a little more fats, like across the board in general, because like I said, carbs, it depends on the carbs as well. So eating more whole foods as opposed to processed sugary foods that are going to spike your insulin, your blood sugars, things like that. So keeping that in mind, do your own research, take what works for you, leave what doesn't. I hope this episode was helpful. I have this thing in my head of like, I've only been recording for 18 and a half minutes. That means it wasn't helpful and that means it's not long enough. So if this resonated, if you feel like you've learned something, if you want some extra support, extra help, feel free to message me. I can also point you in the right direction of people I know depending on your current situation, so then you can get some help from them. But I hope this was really, really, really helpful. I hope you learned something. Like I said, if you did, send me a message, let me know, and then I can do more things like this for you guys. But just remember, your 28 days, there is a typical way of living, if you will, a way of eating, way of training, but just make it work for you and then you should be good to go. Trial and error, track your cycle. Please track it. Whilst you're tracking it, also track how you're feeling as well. Track your symptoms, track your moods, track your energy, track everything like that. And then you can look back and like gradually grab the data, look back at it all and go, cool, okay, now I know what's going to work for me the most and what doesn't work for me as well. So there's a lot to it, but I'm going to leave it there because otherwise I'm going to overwhelm you guys and that's the last thing I want. But as per usual, if you love this episode, if you love the podcast, make sure to hit the follow button, subscribe however you're consuming the podcast, and I will speak to you in next week's episode. Bye.